What's up, everyone? Welcome to 5v5 Live. I'm Matt Hempstead, joined by Eric Kummel. How you doing, Eric?
Doing fantastic.
Fantastic.
Another beautiful hump day, you know.
Of course. Almost getting that much closer to the weekend. Almost there.
That's why it's called hump day.
That's
the
right.
hump
Wow.
of the week.
I got
In case you didn't know that.
Makes sense. Thank you for the knowledge.
That's right.
This weekend coming up, semifinals. Already.
Quarters were pretty spicy.
They were pretty spicy.
I don't know if I can handle another level of spice, but really looking forward to pretty much every matchup.
Yeah, I don't think there's a matchup that you can be like, oh, it's going to be pretty one-sided. You could argue maybe one way or another, but after last week, I'm not sure you really want to be too bold in guaranteeing predictions because there were a lot of upsets last week. There were almost, all four of them were almost upsets.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah, and that's why I feel like the picks, you might look at the matchups this week and feel pretty safe in some of them, but even like Fnatic, Misfits, I'm not sure how safe you even feel going into those games.
No, I wouldn't feel overly comfortable. I mean, Misfits look fantastic. And then, of course, I think Dignitas is a super dark horse right now.
Super
dark.
Super
very dark. So,
Shadows.
Yeah, watch out for them because, man, they can maybe take it down TSN. Do some damage in the finals. That's a tough task.
They can do some damage.
Yeah, I'm just saying, you know, upset city last weekend. Potentially this weekend coming up. You never know.
No, I think it might be a change where, yeah, it is just so much more competitive across the league. In NA, at least.
It's very competitive. So I'm excited. Again, not just who's going to win, but Worlds placings on the line too.
Oh, yeah.
All kinds of stuff.
It's the best time for competitive league right now.
It's fantastic. I love it. Let's get right into it. First match is Fnatic against Misfits after the Misfits 3-0'd the Unicorns of Love, which was quite the series.
Definitely the least exciting of last weekend.
It was exciting in the fact that, you know, everyone was kind of counting out Misfits, even though the Unicorns of Love haven't looked great in about a month. But Misfits came out and pretty much just stomped all over the Unicorns of Love. Very impressive. Hansam had a pentakill in game one. Alfari and Maxler were kind of found rejuvenated in a way because they've been pretty quiet down the stretch in the summer split. So Misfits look really good, and now going up against Fnatic, tough task for sure. But do you think they have a chance now that, you know, they showed what they can do against Unicorns?
I mean, I think they've got to be feeling super confident going into it. And I think Fnatic is probably not necessarily worried, but a little more cautious than they might have been coming into that one, just to see how easily they handled Unicorns. But obviously, I think Fnatic's still pretty heavy favorites going into this one, and probably deservedly so.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. One matchup that I'm really looking at is in the jungle. Well, again, we're going to touch on a lot of these lane matchups, but the jungle one looks one-sided on paper, especially when you look at Broxa and what he's done in this split. He's up there in MVP discussion along with Reckless and Caps, and basically everyone on Fnatic is in the discussion. But Broxa led the league in KDA.
Just barely beat Reckless.
But he was absolutely fantastic, always involved in the first blood. And then Maxfloor, a guy who kind of struggled at times, quiet at times, but overall, especially in the playoff series, he was all over the place, really helping out top lane, getting the bot lane going as well. So it's closer now that Maxwell showed what he can do against the Unicorns, but still looks like an edge for Broxa in the jungle. Yeah,
but as you mentioned, Maxlore has definitely stepped up in the second half of the split. Early on, it looked like his synergy with the team just wasn't really there. They kind of brought him in hoping to bring some shot calling and some communication presence for the whole team. But yeah, he's really stepped it up as of late and played fantastic against UOL. Pretty much dominated Xerxes, but then again, everyone dominated their opponent in that matchup. But I think an interesting pick going into this series is going to be Kane. Maxlore and Caps both played him earlier in the split. Hansama probably still having nightmares about that Kane game where he was Ashe, and wherever he went was dying. He was dying instantly to Caps, but it'll be interesting to see if either of these teams still prioritize that pick a bit. But in terms of the jungle, yeah, I think Brox has been the best jungler in the split, so yeah, bit of an edge to Fnatic there.
Yeah, I think so. I think Brox definitely has an edge. I mean, aggressive across the board, more consistent, more involved with what his team does. So I'm all aboard the Broxa train. Look at that KD8, 13.
Yeah, that is pretty absurd. The kill participation for both of them also pretty impressive. Broxa does have one of the lowest damage percentage for his team for a jungler, but I mean, a lot of that stat is just depending what kind of champions you play. you're not exactly one-shotting people as Gragas anymore. Thank God.
No more one-shots on Gragas.
Dark days. But yeah, so that stat doesn't necessarily tell too much. If you're playing more carry guys, obviously your damage is going to be higher. But yeah, definitely two of the better junglers in the EU LCS.
Yeah, Maxlor, 6-1-35 against the Unicorns last series. That's not bad. I'll take that. But again, everyone's stats against the Unicorns look
a little
spectacular.
Inflated. Yeah.
So, but yeah, so Brock's in the jungle. Who else do you like? I know there's a lot of kind of contested lane matchups.
Yeah, I think even in the mid lane, you look at Caps and PoE. That's, again, two of the probably top 4 mids in EU. I think Caps gets a slight edge again that I would give to Fnatic there. But, I mean, PoE has shown that he can hard carry a lot of these games. And, I mean, on Lucian, running that Ignite, it was really impressive against UOL, getting a lot of those kills with the very last tick of Ignite, and he's got a pretty deep champion pool. Again, Orianna, always a go-to, but she pretty much is for every mid laner, everywhere.
Yes.
So we'll see again how those nerfs play into coming into this set. But I think Caps he can be such a lane-dominant mid laner. I think even without much jungle presence from Broxa, and he can take over that lane. He's kind of like Jensen in that way. So I think I'd give a small edge to him, but again, pretty close. You could easily see one guy dominating one game and the other taking over another in that series.
They're definitely both huge carries for their team, so I would probably call it pretty close to even. I mean, PoE, you've seen it time and time again. Once he gets a couple kills going, just takes over the game. Caps the same way. Caps just has some more unique picks after you saw that came in, as you mentioned. Hansama did not have a good time, but down in the bot lane, probably a lot of people are like, oh, Reckless and Jesus for sure have an edge. But Hansama and Ignar are definitely not a weak link of this team. Ignar, if he gets his hands on a Blitzcrank or a Thresh, he makes plays nonstop. And then Hansama got his hands on Tristana for 3 straight games, somehow against the Unicorns.
Excellent pick ban strategy.
Yeah, exactly. And made him pay with a pentakill and then just fantastic play across the board. So the bot lane is probably very close. I don't really want to take one over the other because I think like mid lane, it's pretty dynamic.
Yeah, I think it is pretty even there as well. But the one thing is with Ignar, I think he does need those engage or playmaking champions. He's not going to do as well on a caster mage type support. So I don't know if Fnatic will implement that into their pick and bans. We've seen Jesus can play stuff like Blitzcrank. He's a great Thresh as well. So if they kind of handcuff Ignar away from those champions, then I think the advantage goes a little more towards Fnatic in that ball lane. I'm
with you. Yeah, it's definitely close, but I think that's where Misfits are going to have to make some noise. They got to win that bot lane, take Reckless out of his comfort zone. Tristana's going to be a hugely contested pick in this series.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, last weekend, as we mentioned, 16 to 17 games picked or banned. I'm sure that theme will continue coming into this weekend. Yeah, in case you're not familiar, Reckless played it before. It was cool. That's true. So he made it meta. Tristana hipster. Yeah, he made it meta. Yeah, Hansama not a super standout split during regular season, but man, 8.3 CSD at 10 against the Unicorns. Yeah, that's pretty good. And Samix was one of the better ADs the whole split. I mean, Hillisang likes to kind of just die randomly, but Samix was the best player at UOL all season long. So yeah, really impressive that they manhandled the Unicorns in that matchup. Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, Unicorns kind of a theme is dying randomly, but that's beside the point. So this series, who do you got? Are you going to call another upset for Misfits? I think now it's going to be a lot closer than people think. Maybe push it to 4 or 5 games. Yeah, I think Fnatic will still take it. I don't think there'll be any big blowouts, but I think Fnatic still gets control of it and takes it probably 4 games. I'm not going to go quite distance to 5, but I think Fnatic, they've shown it all split. I mean, you almost can't even bring up any of their stats to compare to other teams just because they're so ridiculous across the board. I mean, guys are 6-0 on champions, 7-0 on champions with 12 KDAs on specific ones. They just dominated the whole split. So I think it just depends how they do with that extra week off, and it depends for a lot of these teams with the bye. Some teams thrive with it, where they have these strategies that they've been working on, or they see what opposing teams did in that quarterfinal matchup. So it all just depends how they handled that bye week, but I think they'll come away with it. I think so too. It's hard to pick against Fnatic, and I know anything is possible. Misfits 3-0 Unicorns last week. Who knows what they got in their sleeves for Fnatic, but should be close. But I'm with you. I think Fnatic in 4. I agree. So I think you're a pretty smart guy. I like to pretend I am. Yeah, which means they'll probably lose. Yeah, exactly. Let's move on.
before I do, send us your questions because we're going to have some time at the end of the show to answer them, as always. So make them good, make them spicy.
Real spicy.
We like
Plenty
spicy.
of things to ask about. A lot going on.
Yes, exactly. And one of the spicier matchups of the weekend is G2 against H2K. Meme Fest, Perks, Yankos, Mithy, man.
I hope
love it.
All the interviews and all the hype-up videos are just Yankos and Perks talking back and forth in a conversation because they say some ridiculous things and they're great.
They do. Also, hopefully some bathroom breaks thrown in there. Trick.
Toilet issues, that's right.
Go before and after the game, please. Not during.
Hey man, sometimes during the break you don't have to go. And then 5 minutes later, after you've chugged some water, that's when it sets in and you gotta go.
So once you eat a banana during that break.
Yeah. Absorbs all the liquid. That's how it works, right?
Absorbs
potassium.
Yeah.
That's what potassium does. Yeah.
Sounds good. You know what you're talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Let's start with the top lane. Get away from the bathroom breaks for a second. Expect has been pretty impressive to me. He's a guy who's kind of been criticized on G2 from time to time for not getting too involved with what G2 tries to do. But I really liked what he did against, who'd they face again? I don't know why I'm drawing the blank. Splice, really good series. I don't know how I forgot that. But he was really good. Good teleport plays across the map. Kind of held even or dominated the top lane at times against Wonder. So I think he looks much improved. And going up against a guy in Odoamne, who a lot of people consider to be the top laner in
top laner
in EU.
Yeah,
I think it's a very important match. Even though his CSD isn't there, Odoamne, he's always involved in what the team's doing. His teleport plays are probably amongst the best in Europe. And again, their communication down the stretch in the split was fantastic.
Yeah, and he's also got 12 solo kills on the split. And I think expect often he kind of gets too over aggressive with no vision. So I think Odoamne and Yankos, who likes to hang out around top a lot too, I think they can really cash in on maybe some over aggressiveness from Expect to get Odoamne ahead. And we've seen when he's super ahead on either a tank or a carry champion, he can take over a whole game. So that'll be very interesting, that matchup.
Yeah, again, it's going to be very jungle skewed.
Yeah.
And I think that favors Yankos because even in the G2 series, Trick at times was just not involved.
Yeah, that's kind of been the knock on him all split is. But I think Yankos at times does that as well.
Yes.
So I feel like you're going to see back and forth in this game where G2 will win a game because Trick dominates, gets all his lanes ahead, and then the next game, Yankos will do the same. So it's basically whoever can do that more. But I think both of them do focus on top lane a lot, so that's going to be one of the key lanes to watch throughout this series, for sure.
Yeah, Trick is just a guy. Man, it's hard to get a read on him because some games he looks so good, especially when he first joined G2. It's like, oh my God, Trick is the best jungler in Europe.
In the world.
He's fantastic. In the world, yeah. And then all of a sudden, it just, where'd he go? In game specifically, he disappears, and I don't fully know what he's up to.
Yeah.
But a little lost at times.
Yeah, for sure.
But the mid lane, the best of friends here, Perks and Fevin.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a matchup. Febby's been quietly having a really good split that doesn't really get talked about too much, but again, first team, EU LCS.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. Joining all those Fnatic guys and Mithy
of course.
On that team. But, I mean, he's been performing quietly, excellently.
Quietly, excellently.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, I mean, because of all the crazy numbers Fnatic guys have been putting up, yeah, he took a back seat. But yeah, he probably still had the best split as a mid laner, and he's on the first team, so he did. So I think I would almost give the edge to him against Perks. I mean, Perks, it's not like he's had a bad season by any means. Even when G2 was struggling mightily early on, I think he played fine. He was okay. Yeah. He wasn't the reason that they were losing a lot of these games. So I think he's had a pretty good split overall. I think the key is just keep Perks off Lucian in this series because he cosplays as Trick in those games and just is kind of irrelevant for most of the game. He farms well, but you can't really do much. But I think Febivin has a chance to I think he'll have to really pop off in this series because the bot lane, we'll get to that a little later. I think the edge goes to G2 there. But yeah, this mid lane, I mean, look at the numbers for Febivin this split. Pretty fantastic.
Yeah, led all of the mid laners in KDA. 4.6 CSD at 10, pretty good.
Yeah.
Definitely above average. So again, Perks isn't having a bad split by any means, but Febby's kind of outperformed them this split. Perks, I would say, is having a worse than usual split. Just kind of, again, inconsistent, disappear from time to time. Sometimes he looks a little lost in the mid lane and gets caught out, but still the top 3 mid laner in Europe, and it should be a very interesting matchup, very close. Solo kills back and forth, I'm expecting. So
yeah, and I think Febivin might be the piece that H2 needs in these playoff runs, or hopefully deep playoff runs. He's a guy who is pretty clutch, and whenever it's a big match or a big game on the line, he usually puts up even better than his average play. So I think that's something that H2K really needs, because most of the time in these big games, across the roster, guys kind of slump. I think Febivin might be the guy to break that trend.
I'm with you. Let's hit the bot lane quick, because it seems like Sven and Mithy have a pretty good advantage down there. Jay's a guy who gets a lot of praise for his support play. A lot of times he plays those supporty kind of style supports.
You don't think he deserves the praise?
I think he does. I think he's good, but as a bot lane, sometimes they don't look all that great. In the 2v2 situation, they'll get just straight up solo killed from time to time, and that is partly on Nuclear being too far forward, but their laning is just a little questionable for me, whereas Sven and Mithy, excellent. And then you saw Mithy on Alistar this past weekend. He single-handedly won some team fights. So shout out to Mithy and Sven, because I think that's the big advantage in the series.
Yeah, and I think H2K might make their pick and bans kind of at that. You've seen when they played earlier in the split against G2, they had like 3 or 4 different AD carry bans focused at Sven. So we'll see if they continue that trend. But I think H2K, their bot lane, yeah, it's mostly their laning that's kind of questionable. I think outside of that, they're kind of unfairly criticized. They're really not that bad. I mean, Nuclear had 7 games with 0 deaths, which only Reckless had more, a lot more, but only Reckless had more. So I think he's still had a pretty solid split, and he's shown that he can carry on the right champions. And really, it's not necessary for him to carry all the time with guys like Otawamne and Febivin. So I think, yeah, the advantage does go to G2 in that bot lane, but I don't think it's necessarily as big a gap as people are letting on.
Fair enough. So now it's the time for the prediction.
Oh boy.
Ooh.
This is where it gets big.
This is a very close series.
Yeah.
I mean, sure, H2K has a the first round bye.
Right.
But their record was only like 9-5 in the group stage. 9-4, I think.
And I think a guy like Prawley as a coach will make sure they use that bye week wisely, because, I mean, not many coaches stay on the same team for 4+ seasons, and Prawley has been there for pretty much since the beginning with H2K. So I think the team respects him and they listen to him. So I think they're going to use this bye week really well. And I think this might be the time that finally H2K can take down G2. Even though they had the bye and they're the higher seed technically, I feel like the pressure's not really on them. People are almost expecting them. They're like, well, just G2. Yeah, they're a lower seed, but G2 will probably win. So I think maybe they'll thrive in this not quite underdog role, but almost even. It's not like, oh my God, H2K, are they going to blow it again? I think 5 games, and they finally get the G2 monkey off their back, or samurai off their back, whatever that logo is.
Yeah,
I think it's a samurai.
It is a samurai. Have you not seen Lothar in the costume?
Oh, that's true, yeah.
He's terrifying.
It's pretty cool, though.
Yeah, when I'm like, is that Lothar? Oh, man. Hearthstone player. Great mascot.
So, yeah, I think H2K takes it in 5.
Wow. It's weird to see G2 going in as a team that played in the quarterfinals, going up against H2K, the team that's kind of been waiting.
Yeah, you feel like it should be reversed.
It's backwards, yeah. I'm going to take G2 in 5, I think, just because, again, they have H2K's number, and I just don't see them bowing out in the semis. They got to make the finals. It's going to be very close, but again, I think the bot lane has a bit of an advantage. Mithy's playmaking is huge. Sven's solid across the board, and I do foresee Perk stepping up in this series, believe it or not.
I see Febivin stepping up in this series, and I think that Jankos proves why people, I mean, he's been the first Blood King. He's always at the top echelon of junglers in EU. I think just his synergy with his solo laners is enough, just enough to get H2K through. But it will be a really close series.
Should be a good one. It's NA time.
It's NA time, oh boy.
Where we saw
the land of memes
beat Cloud9. We saw Envy push CLG to 5 games in just a mess, an absolute mess of 5 games. Before we get to any of those series, one thing we got to touch on is the whole Jensen MVP thing, because in the past week, since C9 lost to Dignitas, there have been outcries being like, Eric, Jensen can't be MVP. Cloud9's out, and he was less than, not as good as he usually is.
Yes.
There you go. And it's just, first of all, I know you keep saying it's a regular season award, which is very true.
Yeah.
And another criticism that I've seen is people being like, look, when Jensen doesn't perform, Cloud9 loses. He can't be MVP. That's exactly why he is the MVP. Because if he does not perform, this team is absolutely destroyed.
Yeah. I don't really understand why he's getting all this hate all of a sudden.
No.
I guess he doesn't even really talk trash. He's a confident guy, and I mean, sure, the odd time he says he's going to clap someone, and then if he loses lane, then he gets flamed pretty hard. But yes, playoffs have zero implication on the award. The votes, I'm pretty sure, were already in before they even played this series, so it has no implication at all. And yeah, he is Cloud9 right now, and he was the whole split. You saw when they were slumping, it was because, I mean, the rest of the team was not playing that well, and he was playing good, but not great. And then when they go on their crazy 6-series win streak, his KDA's like 12 or something like that. He's getting double-digit kills more often than he's dying. So he completely pops off, and that's why they're winning. They live and die by him. So yeah, when he's not playing outstanding, they lose. That's not really a knock on him. That's a knock on the rest of the team.
Right. It's who else is going to carry? No one? All right. Well.
Good game. Dignitas, good game. Good game. Then
it's unfortunate. Okay, I'm okay with people being like, Bjergsen, you deserve MVP.
Sure.
I have no issues with that.
You could give Bjergsen MVP every split, probably.
Exactly. It bothers me when people are saying Jensen doesn't deserve MVP at all.
Yeah.
It's like, no. Just because. Another thing that people say is he doesn't affect the side lanes enough. But the attention he draws in mid lane does affect the side lanes. He's so dominant in mid that he draws jungle pressure. He draws supports the roam towards mid. So it's not just that people are saying he doesn't roam enough and that Orianna is now a terrible champion, the only champion that he can play. Have you seen Jensen play LeBlanc? It's pretty good.
It's not bad when you get 12, 15 kills.
Yeah.
It's pretty good. But it's kind of like, I mean, if he doesn't roam, then people are like, oh, wow, this guy doesn't roam at all. And then you look at Huhi on some champions, and he's down 40 CS in lane because he's roaming. And it's like, wow, this guy's terrible at CSing. He sucks.
Yeah, no matter what, you're going to get criticism.
You can't win.
No.
Yeah. I hope that Jensen puts up a massive performance in the gauntlet so that people can be like, okay, maybe he does deserve MVP. Even though, again, the gauntlet also holds no implications on the MVP, but the guy deserves an MVP.
He does. So I'm sticking with him.
Yeah.
A little bit of unfair criticism, but I'm sure we're going to get roasted for that.
That's fine.
That's fine. What else is new? Immortals versus CLG.
Oh, boy.
The ghosts of CLG past have come back.
Oh, man.
To face...
Coming for vengeance.
Yeah, to face the team now. Poe Belter and Xmithy on Immortals now.
Yeah.
Very exciting. Too bad Dardoch's gone because it would have been even better to have, the whole trade going on in a best-of-5 series. That storyline is dead.
Yeah.
But still, very intriguing matchup with a CLG team that definitely, I would say, underperformed against Envy even though they won the series. It was less than convincing, to say the least. So very interesting matchups. And Omar God was a guy, specifically, who looked pretty out of place against Envy.
Yeah, he struggled. And again, we highlighted earlier in the week some of the early aggression, the level 1 aggression kind of, he just can't even get his red buff and he's behind 2 levels. So I don't know what you're supposed to do at that point. I would probably just AFK. I don't want to deal with that. But I mean, he's still getting accustomed to the team, which obviously is not ideal in the second round of the playoffs heading into Worlds. No. But I think, he's definitely going to be at a disadvantage in this matchup. Xmithy, first team jungler, and he's probably been the best jungler this split, so he's going to have a tough time there. But I think Immortals is basically just going to say, hey, let's pick or ban Gragas. And that's specifically when Omar God looks out of place. I think whenever he's on Gragas, he's very good on that champion.
He is.
He affects all the lanes, and he looks fine on that. Outside of that is when it gets a little sketchy, so hopefully CLG has some picks planned for him that he'll be more comfortable on, because even like Zach, I don't think was particularly great.
No, he was attacked physically on Zach. It was not good. Envy really took it to him early, and then he was borderline useless other than a nice Baron steal. But yeah, but going back to their previous matchup, it went to 3 games. Omar God came in after they dropped the first one. And he played Gragas and Olaf. They won the Olaf game.
Oh, Olaf's coming out?
Pretty exciting, yeah.
He's pretty much the only one who plays Olaf. Maybe Rainover did earlier in the split, but not many junglers are playing that champion right now. So maybe you can see if that works. Against CC heavy comps, I mean, I guess it could work. You just do the old Ragnarok, sprint at the AD carry. It's always fun to play against.
Very fun.
Yeah. But he's going to need some picks outside of Gragas because...
that's all he's been showing, man.
If I was Immortals, I'm either just ban that 5 games in a row. Because Smithy can play a bunch of different champions. I don't think Gragas being banned would affect him at all.
No, the one thing that affects the bans against CLG, as we know, is Huhi.
Aurelion
More than anybody.
Sol.
The Aurelion Sol gets banned a lot. The Taliyah gets banned a lot.
Throw in a Vel'Koz maybe.
Vel'Koz maybe, though I'm pretty sure they're going to have a counter pick or something just to get close to the Vel'Koz in that situation. But the mid lane matchup is very intriguing. PLB's had a pretty good split, I've got to say, even though there's a lot of attention in the bot lane. And with Xmithy, Pobelter's held his own for sure. And then Huhi, whose CSD is always a little low because he's roaming around the map.
Oh, he sucks at CSing, man. He's no good.
No good at all.
That's
Well, he's never in the lane, and he's always affecting the other lanes. And I think one pick to watch specifically in this matchup is that Taliyah if it gets left open. Both these guys love that champ. Because even Pobelter quietly, he does roam around quite a bit too.
Yeah, and I think they have a pretty similar champion pool. Like they play pretty much all the same champions. The difference is who he has all his weird pocket picks in Vel'Koz, Aurelion Sol. Victor, no one plays Victor. You saw him play a bit of Ahri this split. I think he probably has a deeper champion pool, and he's probably been CLG's best player all split. And he was fantastic against Envy. Basically the main reason they won. Deservedly so, got MVP of that series. Pretty much any champion. Yeah, his CS numbers there don't look great, but against Envy, he was pretty much at 10 a minute, at a 10 per minute clip, like in every game, even when they were behind on different champions. So I got to give a slight edge to Huhi in this one, but that has got to be so interesting for these guys. The 2 former tag team mid laners for CLG, even though Huhi never played
Tagged
when
in.
Pobelter was there.
He
was always waiting with his hand out.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. But now he's fully in, and I'm sure he wants to prove that CLG made the right choice.
I mean, it took a while for the fans to maybe be won over with the whole Huhi thing.
I don't even know if they have been yet.
They should be because he's been
close.
very good. And again, if he gets his hands on Aurelion Sol,
Well, that's a free win.
if not, it's a free ban that you get drawn every game. So definitely has a huge impact. Now let's go to support quickly because Ole's this guy who's trending up.
Yeah.
Aphromoo, this guy who for the longest time, the best support in
He
North
was
America.
the marquee guy, yeah.
But this split, and even going back to the last split, he's just been off. I don't know exactly what it is, but he doesn't give as much vision as he used to. I mean, he gets caught out of position. Some of his engages are mistimed or miscommunicated. It seems like he engages by himself sometimes. And then against Envy, he missed a headbutt pulverize on Alistar that ended up killing his teammates because he knocked Niski on Cassiopeia over the wall onto some low HP members, which was a disaster.
Not ideal?
Not ideal, no. So he's a guy who's trending down, and I think in the bot lane, there's just a huge edge to Immortals.
Yeah, I mean, especially after you saw CLG get manhandled down there 5 games in a row, during laning phase, at least. And I think, I mean, Immortals, their bot lane, probably better than Envy. I mean, I know Envy's bread and butter down there is laning. Outside of that, they kind of struggle a bit more. And Immortals more of a well-rounded bot lane. But, I mean, if they can win that 2v2 and actually start getting some kills without any pressure from Xmithy, then the rest of the map is going to be in trouble for CLG. If Xmithy can just sit mid and camp Huhi or camp Darshan, and then 2 out of those 3 lanes are just way ahead, CLG is not going to come back from that. So I think Stixxay and Afro have to not die 2v2. Like they don't necessarily have to win or start getting solo kills, but it's just like at least try and stay even in that matchup.
Yeah, the game 4 against Envy specifically was just so bad. They were down 2-1, and you go into this game and they start just dying over and over to that bot lane.
The one carry on in that comp. Varus is all their damage, so let's just not get... Oh, we died. All right, we're getting pretty
Excellent.
good. Good job, boys. And, I mean, they were losing matchups. It's not like it was the same cheesy matchup over and over that Envy was running. It was different champions against different champions.
Nautilus Varus, baby.
Yeah, that's obviously just a steamroll bot lane. But, I mean, outside of laning phase, Afro did still have, like, that. It's those mechanical misplays that were really surprising to me because, sure, warding, face checking, and dying instantly, whatever. But, yeah, him missing, like, a headbutt pulverize on, like, a token champion of his like oust was really surprising, and I thought he would be getting out of this. I don't even know if I can call it a slump anymore.
Extended.
It's just kind of been an off season for him, but
maybe it's the beard.
I feel like he's had the beard before.
Huh. Whatever.
He's got to grow his hair out again.
Yeah, bring the afro
That's
back.
the secret. But I mean, yeah, I got the advantage to all A's pretty big.
Yeah, and look at that set in the bottom there of the graphic. Against Envy, Stix had a CSD at 10 of negative 8.6. That's bad, everybody. That is not good.
Now, what I will say is, despite their horrible laning, come the mid to late game fights, Stix was performing
Absolutely
pretty amazingly and won a lot of those team fights for them. So it's just, CLG has to survive the laning phase in that bot lane and let Stix get 2 or 3 items so that he can pop off in the team fight.
A lot of that too was skewed because Oh My God was so behind in the jungle that CLG just had to play safe. Yeah. They couldn't afford to be risky and get out there and be aggressive. They had to sit back and be pushed in for the entire game, which doesn't help. So
yeah, and Stix played Tristana 4 of those 5 games. So yeah, when you're under turret, we know
that's Tristana.
How fun that is as Tristana.
It's miserable.
You get 2 CS in a row, and then it's like, all right, the rest are screwed up. Great.
Finally, the top lane. You think you give an edge to Darshan, don't you?
I mean, it's pretty close. They're both pretty good top laners, but Darshan, I thought, had a pretty fantastic split. He's got almost 50 more kills than any other top laner. The guy in second is Flame. He's got 45 more than him. So, I mean, some of that is Dardoch, when he was on the team, focused top lane a lot to help get Darshan ahead. And I think Oh My God should maybe do the same for him. And again, Darshan, we know he can split push. We know he can dominate on characters like Fiora. I hope he plays Jax or busts out something like that in this series. But he's also been able to play tanks pretty well this split. I mean, he played 2 Gnar games against Envy, didn't die. He was pretty fantastic on that champion. I think that's going to be a big pick for him in this series. And both of these guys their focus is not necessarily being with their team right away. It's just kind of drawing pressure to that top lane. And I think, again, it's going to be another key matchup. But pretty much every matchup's key. So
yeah, I think Immortals are going to try to do the same kind of strategy that Envy did, and that's save the last pick if they're on red side, which CLG doesn't seem to be too fond of for whatever reason. Save that pick for Flame so he can really get an edge over Darshan. And if you saw what Seraph did to Darshan when he had that counter pick, imagine Flame with that counter pick. So that's my main concern, is if they try to abuse the same kind of strategy that Envy exposed, they might be in a little danger. But I don't know.
Yeah, it's all about adjustments. If they go with that, then, I mean, just pick a pretty safe champ for Darshan where he can just kind of sit there and wait to TP. Yeah. Or, you know, just try and draw pressure there and feed, and then let the other lanes hopefully do something.
The good old feed and hope. Yeah.
Feed to win. That's why he's got to play Tryndamere.
There you go.
The feed to win strats are coming out.
Wow, Tryndamere in the semifinals. That's exciting.
That would be hype.
Who are you picking? And where's the CLG?
Now, I said CLG would struggle against Envy, but they'd come away with the win, which kind of happened.
Did you expect them to struggle that much?
No.
That was very...
I think I said 5 games, though. So
okay.
We're all going according to script. It's all along the way. I think...
Scripted.
On paper, it looks like Immortals should win pretty easily. You're just looking across the lanes and what kind of a season they had. But I've just got this feeling about CLG. And I think the bot lane will step up in a big way this time. They'll get back to the old CLG where you're talking about them as one of, if not the best bot lane in NA. I think they get back on track out there. And I think Huhi continues his fantastic play in these playoffs. So I think they take it in 5, CLG. And the reason, another main reason, is because you look at their matchups they're going to have. They beat Envy, Seraph, former CLG. You go into Immortals, Xmithie and Pulbelter, you knock them out. And then you win, and you get, let's say, TSM in the finals. And then the final boss is, of course, Doublelift. They're just knocking off former teammates. That's the script this year.
I gotcha.
I see it, Riot. I see it.
And then Link's going to join some Korean teams at World.
Yep. Or a wildcard team, and then Link's the one who beats them, writes another Dunzo manifesto.
It's a great story.
It's a pretty good script, huh?
That would be fantastic. But I'm going to take Immortals in 4.
4? Not even 5?
Not even 5. Man, Immortals team fighting, they've been a team this entire split that's still kind of, I don't want to say disrespected, but underlooked. The opposite of overlooked. That's definitely not a term.
Under is the opposite of over.
That's right. That's what I'm going with. But I really do think they're undervalued. The team fighting, again, is spectacular. Envy showed what they can do when they have a game plan to attack. I think Immortals are going to duplicate that, but they've got more skilled players across the board. I think the bot lane is even better than what Apollo and Hagoho did, especially in team fighting. You've seen Cody Sun bring out the Jhin. Oli's more of a playmaker, has all these champs you can pick. Bard's going to be a huge contested pick as well in this series. And Xmithy, he's going to take it to Omar God. So I just don't know if CLG can pull through. I think Immortals have a pretty big edge. But we'll see.
If the bot lane plays like they did against Envy, then they're probably pretty scooped, but I think they'll step up.
They might be scooped. We'll see.
We'll see.
TSM versus Dig is the one I'm most hyped about.
It's a pretty hype matchup.
Dignitas blew me away this past weekend, and people are going to be like, oh, Cloud9 struggled, had some rough moments, but Dignitas really impressed me, specifically the bot lane. But before we get to that, Someday is a Maokai god. And even when you go back a couple weeks, you saw him, they 2-0'd TSM. And of course, Someday played Maokai both those games. So going into this series, I think TSM might be smart enough to maybe pick it away or ban it. That's something that Cloud9 did not adapt to whatsoever. Hopefully TSM can figure it out.
I would hope that after like a week of prep, well, basically 2 weeks of prep for TSM, they would say, this guy plays Maokai and no one can do anything to him, and they win the game off that. Maybe we should do something about that. So I expect Maokai to be banned pretty often in that series. But yeah, Dignitas, I mean, yeah, C9 didn't play to their best, but a lot of that was because of what Dignitas did to them and the focus they had on shutting down Jensen, and just overall, like, their Baron control was amazing. They've officially destroyed the Dignitas throw at Baron meme. It is dead.
It's gone.
It's dead forever. It died with I'm a Cutie Pie. But, I mean, yeah, they played fantastic, but they're going to have to do that again. They're going to have to play, like, sublimely across the board to take down TSM.
It's gonna, they're gonna have to put up a great performance, but I'm not gonna overlook them. Though Hunter, I think, is a guy who's gonna take that Maokai pick away or have a counter pick in mind. You saw Envy pick Trundle into Maokai in the CLG series, which was, you just can't split push against him. So that's one thing you can do against Maokai, is have a split pusher like a Fiora or something like that, which is something that Hanser can definitely pull out. So that's going to be tough in that top lane matchup. So that's one area to definitely look out for.
If there's a Trundle Maokai matchup 5 games in a row, I hope they never go up to that top lane in the spectator client, because that is painful. It's painful. And then they take no damage. Even if you get a counter pick for Maokai, something other than Trundle where you're stealing his tank stats, I mean, even if the Maokai's behind, when you get to team fights, he's going to be tanky enough to not take any damage. So I think it's either got to be Trundle or you ban it.
I'm with you. And you see it there. 3 games, all wins against Cloud9, 6-7 and 41. Doesn't blow you away with the kills, but man, he was involved with teleport plays and flash twisted advance. Yeah. So he locked down C9's carries, whether it was Jensen or Sneaky. I mean, it's going to be the same thing against Bjergsen and Doublelift, those 2 big carries. If you have Maokai, lock those guys down, win a team fight off that, it's just, you got to ban it or have a good counter pick. Yeah, but TSM should.
Yeah, I think they'll be ready for that. But yeah, I mean, these are probably the 2 best top laners in NA right now. So I think, I don't know how much jungle presence will actually be there, but I think Haunter's going to want to be aggressive on whatever champion he is. I think Anar is going to be another solid pick for him, just to try and bully that lane and get Someday behind. But yeah, they both got pretty good teleports too. It's a pretty even matchup. I don't know if I could go either way for who has a big edge. Yeah,
it's probably close to even, heavily influenced by jungle, obviously.
Yeah.
Where that matchup in the jungle is very close as well. Shrimp has all these unique picks. In the TSM series earlier, he played Graves both games, which I'm not sure we're going to see that again, but I mean, he's willing to play Nunu just so he can support Altec in the bot lane.
Spam Blood Boil, baby.
And it was a strat that worked perfectly, especially when you're playing guys like Twitch, those super carries.
Yeah.
And Altec, this past series against Cloud9, along with Adrian, was just fantastic. Whether he was on Twitch and stealth around the corner and then unstealthed with a spray and pray and just dominated Cloud9's carries. Very impressive play. And then Sivir, his quick reactions in that final team fight against Cloud9 at Baron, hit the QSS, flashed out, and then did a ton of damage with his ricochet. He's been very impressive with Adrian down there. I think that bot lane, I don't know if they have an edge, but they've definitely been impressive, and we'll see how they hold up against Doublelift and Biofrost.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of their 2v2s against C9 were super clean. They weren't even close. He had some great spell shields on Sivir 2, blocking the Tristana Buster Shot. That's what it's called, right?
Yeah.
Buster Shot? Yeah,
Sounds
blocking
good.
that. And, I mean, they slaughtered C9 down there. Now, I think C9, that bot lane's been pretty inconsistent throughout the whole split. I can't see Doublelift and Biofrost outright dying multiple times 2v2 to them. I think they're more consistent, and especially the last few weeks of the season, they seem to really be getting on a roll. So Doublelift, a guy who likes to pride himself on his laning and has his whole career early on, that's all that mattered, right? Doesn't matter if you lose the game, we won the lane.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter that we lost, we won the lane. So I can't see them losing outright 2v2 unless there's some jungle help. But then it's not 2v2. So
That's correct. That is not 2v2 technically. That would be 3, maybe even more.
5?
You gotta love those bot lane parties where everyone gets involved.
Love them.
But yeah, Doublelift versus Altec, definitely very intriguing matchup. I think it's going to be really close. Everyone's going to just say, oh, Doublelift, he's the best. But I mean, man, Altec, if you look at his damage in that series against Cloud9, 820 damage per minute.
Yeah.
And 37% of his team's damage. That's very good. So he was just dumping on people. In that
and
game.
people, they give them a lot of resources, right?
Yes, Nunu specifically.
Yeah, they'll draft comps for him, and he always has an insane amount of CS because he's constantly just farming in a solo lane. But they do that because they're confident in him, and he pretty much delivers every game. So, I mean, that's something you want in your carry. You want them to be confident and be like, hey, man, give me the farm, and I'll carry you guys. And he's been able to do that in a lot of these games for Dignitas. So it's going to be a very interesting matchup.
And this is a guy they picked up mid-season, and he's performing at this level.
What's amazing about Dignitas is that, yeah, they basically had 3 big roster moves this year, either coming into this year or like throughout the year. And I did not think that after their carousel of supports, they would sit on, I mean, Adrian, the guy who's been pretty solid, but to have such a great chemistry that this team somehow made up mid-season is pretty impressive.
It's very impressive. Before we do the predictions and get to your questions, send those in, we've got to talk about Bjergsen real quick.
Yeah.
Going up against Keen.
Is he playing?
Maybe. He might get subbed out or something. But Keen's a guy for me who doesn't always stand out. But one thing he does do is survive in the mid lane, whether it's against Jensen or whomever. He'll usually be down in CS, but he won't give up that kill. He won't give up too much pressure, keep his tower alive, and just keep his team in it. And then his team fighting overall is pretty solid. So that's what he's going to have to do against Bjergsen. And I think he'll be able to hold up okay.
Yeah, and I think what's also impressive about Keen is even you look at that C9 series, pretty much all of Shrimp's attention is either top or bottom. He's kind of like, gee, Keen, good luck. You're only versus Jensen. And he held up on his own. He's not like feeding or anything. He's doing perfectly fine, even ahead in some of those matchups. So yeah, he's just a solid rock in the middle lane for them. And I think he'll continue to do the same. Even in the series that they 2-0'd against TSM, he played fantastic. He probably outplayed Bjergsen in that series. Now, Bjergsen was playing Xerath, I think.
He did play Xerath.
Games, so.
Hey.
But I mean, Dignitas, if they throw 4 bans in the mid lane and then pick one away from him, you're going to have to go pretty deep into Bjergsen's champion pool, which is very deep.
It is.
So I don't know how that's not going to really be an issue for TSM, I don't think. But yeah, Keen is a guy who doesn't get a lot of the credit on Dignitas, but he almost never has a bad game for them.
No, he's a rock, as you said. Let's get to the predictions. Who you got going to the finals?
I think TSM goes 10th time in a row.
Is that good?
It's not bad. I don't see, I mean, Dig has been really impressive, and a couple weeks ago, if you had said this would be the semifinal matchup, I don't think Dig would win a game, but I could definitely see this one going to the 5th and deciding game. But I mean, TSM, their goal has always been Worlds. The only way I could see them maybe not winning this is if they're almost, because they've already clinched a world spot. Like, I know Reginald wouldn't let them be like, yep, whatever, we're already going to Worlds, who cares? There's no reason for them not to try super hard to get that #1 seed. So it's been their goal all split. I think this extra time off, they've probably just been scrimming and practicing super hard. I know a guy like Doublelift wants redemption from last year's Worlds where he thinks he didn't play well at all. And Bjergsen's a guy who always plays better the bigger the game. So I think 5 games, though.
I've got a gut feeling.
Uh-oh.
That tells me that Dignitas wins.
Oh.
A lot of times my gut is an idiot.
Yeah.
But that's beside the point.
Yeah.
I honestly think that Dignitas win this series in 5 games. And I'm probably going to regret saying that by Sunday afternoon.
You might be a genius.
I might be a genius. But I'm gonna gamble on Dignitas. They've been so good for the last half of the split, going into playoffs. They've been super clean. A lot of people thought Cloud9 was this team getting hot at the right time and we're going to go to the finals, maybe take down TSM. And Dignitas manhandled them for the most part. They have a strategy in place to kind of hold down Jensen. Someday right now is playing out of his mind, even though it is on that Maokai mostly. He can do more than just that. And I'm going to ride this bot lane as far as they can go. Adrian, whether it's on Janna, doing whatever to protect Altec, this big carry for Dignitas. I'm going to take it.
So you've got Dignitas and Immortals.
2 new teams in the finals.
Not just 1.
2.
But 2. That would be pretty wild. And I don't think many people would have predicted that. I wonder if that would take a hit on their viewership. It probably would.
I'd be very intrigued by that matchup.
It would be really interesting, but I think the viewership would be down.
Yeah, all the TSM CLG fans.
Did TSM wondered? What time does TSM play? That's what
in
Twitch
the
chat
3rd
would
place
be,
match right before this.
Yeah,
you said CLG would beat Double. Maybe it'll be in the 3rd place match.
Oh,
Ayo.
Maybe that is part of the script.
There you go.
Ah, interesting.
Flipping it a little bit.
Yeah, that's pretty clever.
Thank you. Just
not that clever, though.
Oh, okay.
Question time.
Question time, that's right. Thank you, Eric. CLG Green Arrow. He might be a CLG fan. Will Omar get Rookie of the Split since he made it the furthest rookie out of everyone else? Well, it was, he just commented too, why did Mike Young win Rookie of the Split? He carried his team from 3rd to 10th. fair point. But he joined partway through. Like when he was joined that team, they were already down in the bottom of the standings. Yeah. And when he joined it, it looked like, oh my goodness.
Their ship was at the bottom of the ocean, and when Mike Young came, he carried it to surface level, just peeking through. And then after Rift Rivals, he's like, this is too heavy, man.
The chain broke.
He dropped it. Yeah,
man.
and it goes all the way down. I mean, just because Omar made it further in the playoffs, again, regular season award. And Omar have you seen him use a fidget spinner?
No, you haven't.
I haven't.
But quite frankly, Omar doesn't mean that much to CLG. You can put a lot of junglers in that spot to do his role, which is just support and play Gragas.
Yep. I mean, you actually hear in some of their comms guys saying, go here, do this, don't do that. That's not something you hear that often with LCS guys. They'll say as a team, let's go over here, not you.
Right.
Ward this, you know.
So yeah. In case you missed it, Mike Young did win Rookie of the Split, 1st place.
Congrats.
Only 13 points behind him was Niski. So it was close. Niski put up a good performance down the stretch, and then Omar was there. And then like 2 other guys got a single vote. I think the NV coach put Alorum, the guy who played like 1 game for Phoenix 1.
Well, outside of those 3 guys, I mean, you're talking about guys who played 2 or 3 games.
Yeah, you deserve it. Great game you had.
DeMonte got some votes, right?
He got a 3rd place vote. Shout outs to him. So but Mike Young, sure the Phoenix 1 team finished in last. That sucks. But it wasn't because he wasn't performing. I thought even when this team was losing, he was doing his best to get involved. Co-participation was always up there, playing these carry champs like Nidalee, who no one else played all split. So I was very impressed by him. And if he gets his hands on maybe another team once the franchising kicks in, I expect good things from the young guy.
Oh yeah, going forward, I mean, whether or not P1's in the LCS, I'll pretty much guarantee Mike Young is in the LCS on a team somewhere. So he'll be around.
He'll be around. Yeah, I'm with you. Lyra Saran wants to know, do you guys still think Jensen is the best mid North America? He is never going to be it, only if Bjerg retires, in his opinion. By the way, he's a KT fan, not a TSM fanboy. Good to put out there. Because, a lot of TSM fanboys.
Yeah.
Down with Jensen. Bring the
Was that a pitchfork?
It was.
Okay. Just making sure.
It was a flaming one, of course.
I think this split, Jensen has still been the best mid laner in NA, just because they're not even really off games he had against Envy. They're just not up to his standard. Maybe average games he had for them. I don't think that takes away from the rest of his split. Still across however many games, 40 games or whatever they played, I think he was still the best mid laner. He just dominated there, drew pressure from opposing junglers, eased pressure for all his side lanes, and a lot of the time his side lanes just didn't do much with that. And even in games where all the other lanes are losing, I mean, he looked fantastic. So
I'm with you. Again, Jensen had an outstanding split, and even though the playoffs kind of didn't go his way.
They halted the hype train.
They did halt the hype train, but his laning and his ability to carry a game by himself was unmatched by anyone else this split, which is why, for this split, like you said, he was the best mid laner in North America. No shots to Bjergsen.
That
was fantastic as well.
That was a big shot.
Bjergsen might supply more in terms of shot calling, which we've touched on before.
Yeah.
But I do think Jensen edged him just so slightly this split.
Bjergsen is still very good.
He is very good. Danny, 167. Do you think CLG should have kept Dardoch? That's tough because we don't know exactly what was going on with the team. I know there were quotes coming out being like, oh, he doesn't fit what we're looking for in terms of, you know, being a team player and that kind of thing. But we don't exactly know what him being led to go the other way. Like, I don't know. I don't have an exact, I wasn't talking to the coach. I wasn't talking to Zix. I wasn't talking to Afro being like, hey, what did Dardoch do? I don't know exactly. But, I mean, in terms of another playmaker, they definitely missed Dardoch, no question. But at the same time, Dardoch was also overly aggressive at times and led to, you know, some poor invades. So it goes both ways. Omar God's not going to carry you a game, but he might not lose you games entirely either. I don't know.
Yeah, he's more of a median straight line guy.
Yeah,
where Dardoch
you know what you're getting.
Woo! I'd like to know what CLG thinks now. If they're like,
oh damn,
maybe they expected more from Omar God. Maybe they're like, well, he's still growing, which he is. It's still too early to totally judge this guy for his whole career. Oh, he's a trash jungler. We'll never play again. I mean, it's still very early, so yeah, I think Dardoch would help some games and he would lose you others. But the fact that he didn't even stay on Immortals for like a week and then he's already on a Team Liquid, I mean, it sounds like CLG's probably still happy with their decision.
I think so. I think they're going to be fine with it. No matter what happens, kind of got to live with it. And again, Omar God's only been there for a little bit of time, so it's kind of a work in progress. Kelvin Tummel with an interesting question. For the audience, what do you think of implementing player comms instead of caster voices? So you hear the teams communicate. I do love it when they show those comms, even though most of the time it's just just inaudible screaming.
Yeah, and everyone's yelling it.
At the end of it, I'd probably just be, oh, stop.
That would be a little much for like a 40-minute game of people yelling. Especially, I guess you could maybe choose between which team you're listening to. Because if you had both, it would just be unbearable. There's so much screaming.
Just 10 people screaming.
Yeah.
And that's all you hear. What is it?
That would be a kind of cool alt stream or something to have. Like they used to do the bot lane ones where you'd have Freak and someone doing those if they did something that had the players' comms the whole time. But I don't think teams want you hearing their comms the whole time. They probably don't even like Riot releasing those mic checks or the little clips going to break.
There'd also be a lot of find going on because they do swear a little bit.
A lot of cussing.
A little bit.
My favorite would be the EU ones with a lot of nice. Those are the best.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
It is fantastic.
I would listen to that.
I would definitely listen to it.
For one game and then cut off my ears.
It'd be obnoxious, that's right. XXX Billyberg Gaming XXX wants to know, do you believe that C9 needs to make some roster changes, if not big, minor? Unpopular opinion of the day might be to replace Sneaky.
Ooh, who's going to be an upgrade though?
Well, that's the thing. There's going to be a lot of stuff going on in this offseason, so we're going to see who's available. But his consistency has just been so off. You've seen him be able to carry some games, and then other times he just gets caught out. His laning has never been fantastic, especially lately over the past years. I'm not super impressed with what he brings, and I think Smoothie is a great guy to have down there in the bot lane. Pair him with someone a bit more consistent. I think that might help Cloud9 a little bit.
Yeah, it's just hard to. Maybe there would be someone coming up in the scouting grounds or whatever going into franchising that would be an upgrade. But right now, unless you're making a trade or one of these other guys, top guys are leaving their team, there's no immediate upgrade.
Yeah.
But I believe he is the longest tenured player left on the same team. Like he's played on the same team.
He's been in there for a long time, since the beginning of time, of course.
Yes, dinosaurs, sneaky on Cloud9. But it's either that or the only other roster move you'd make is maybe Impact or something. But again, I can't think of an immediate upgrade that you would put in there. So it's a risky move to maybe change a guy like that and then you're downgrading. So
fair enough. I just think that's the most replaceable spot on the CLG. But anyway, we got about 8 minutes or so. So let's pump through some questions here.
Yeah, let's go.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Great name, XD.
Nice.
If you could build an all-star Western team, who would be in it? Let's
fire that
real
off
quick.
real quick. Western.
It's all the West.
Now,
Top lane.
do imports count?
If they're playing in the West right now, they
okay,
count.
that counts. I'm throwing in Soaz. Give me Soaz.
You take Soaz? Give me someday.
You want Someday?
Even
okay.
though it's Korean, doesn't matter. Let's move on
Cheater.
to the jungle.
Jungle. Give me. I want Yankos for the memes. And
not bad.
he's good.
He's good. I'll take Brox. I'm impressed.
Okay.
Going EU there. Mid.
Jensen. My boy.
There it is. 80 carat. This
Sven.
is you're gonna take
I
Sven.
want Sven. Yeah.
I'll probably still take double.
Ooh. Such an NA fanboy.
I know,
My
right?
God.
Look at this guy.
What's left? Support?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's an interesting one. There's a lot of like pretty good support.
Would you keep Mithy with Sven because that's what you did there?
That would make sense.
Keep that bot lane chemistry?
Yeah, just keep them. They go everywhere together.
Yeah. I'll take Ole.
Ole.
That's not bad. There's some teams. This may be a little off topic. What are the chances of the meme stream Dream Team Delta Fox chances of making it into the NA LCS? I would say 0.
Oh, come. You gotta. Nothing in this world is 0% chance.
0.001.
Yeah. So there is a chance, but no, they were horrible.
That team also, I think, dissolved because some members were like, "Wow, we're actually kind of good if we practice," and then some people were like, "But I don't want to practice." So that's why they lost a lot.
I feel like a lot of their practice was Cutie Pie streams for 10 hours, and then he's like, all right, let's do ranked 5s. Play 2 games. All right, I've been playing for 12 hours, bye.
Yeah.
Pretty good practice going into their games. Now they're not going to make it in. I think that experiment kind of failed. After they lost like 2 weeks in a row, it was like, wow, they suck. And then people didn't really care. But good effort by Echo Fox.
It was definitely a good publicity stunt.
Yep.
And now it's dead.
I paid attention for 2 weeks.
Yeah. I definitely watched a couple of VODs.
Yeah.
And was like,
but it was funny.
Oh.
That's when you want to hear the comms.
Yeah.
Because they're terrible.
For sure. Quick SKT versus Longzhu prediction.
Ooh, I mean, I'd be pretty surprised if SKT lost. It seems like they've turned it around. As soon as KT went up 2-0, it was like, oh God. That's just where you want them. And then the quotes from all the players where they were like, well, if we win a game, we'll win. Oh, if you win one game, you'll do the reverse sweep. I mean, they're super confident right now, and I think, I don't know, I'm pretty sure Hooney's not going to get any playing time because he hasn't in forever. We'll see if they're subbing in Peanut or Blank, but I mean, this is the series for BDD to show if he's a faker killer or replacing him as best mid laner right now. But I mean, some of those games Faker looked pretty Faker-like, so I think SKT is going to win.
I can't pick against SKT right now.
Yep.
They're destined to win the LCK again.
They were sandbagging, right? During that
They were
slump?
100% sandbagging.
Yeah.
Yeah, you said they turned things around. No. They've been playing this the whole time.
Yeah.
I mean, this team is under. I can't pick against them.
I think it's going to be an exciting series, though, as per usual. Or SKT might 3-0 them, and everyone will lose their minds and be terrified.
All right, a couple more questions to get through here, Eric. Why don't people play Cho'Gath anymore? His popularity has decreased a little bit. My biggest thing is I think his laning is pretty susceptible.
So jungle him.
Jungle Cho'Gath?
Yeah.
I mean, he's definitely fits the whole tank thing, but the rupture is so hit or miss in terms
Mostly
of an
miss.
engaged tool. Mostly miss. It's very hard to use, and his best ability is obviously to flash eat somebody, which is pretty toxic and feels bad. But
I mean, yeah, when someone's at 60% health and you chomp them and they die, it's like, Huh.
Yeah.
Quite the outplay. But yeah, his rupture, you basically need a setup for it.
You do.
Unless the person is brain dead and running in circles, you're probably not going to hit these pro players with a rupture. Yeah. Even if it gets to there, it's a pretty easy flash. So you need something to set it up. So you need more CC in these team comps. But I am surprised he fell off so quickly. Because he was like, for a couple of weeks, picked almost every game. Pick or ban. So we'll see. He might resurface at Worlds.
Fair enough.
Or playoffs.
CLG Granero also wants to know, if you had a team and you won Worlds, what champions skins would you choose?
Oh, I'll pick one champion.
Yeah. Of course.
Now, I guess I would have had to have been playing that champion.
Yeah.
Could you just pick any champion, you think?
No, I think you gotta like play it in the finals and have a dominant.
So I had to pick it once. Wouldn't that be the ultimate BM if you're up 2-0 and you're like,
you picked the champion you want to skin?
I'm gonna pick Teemo because I want a Teemo skin. Yeah. That's what I would do.
Teemo.
Yeah.
You take Teemo.
I'd pick him one game just so I can be like, look, I played him in the finals. Give me a Teemo skin.
I'll take my girl Zaya. Doesn't have enough skins yet, even though she's new.
Well, then you should have picked Urgot. Or Yorick, excuse me.
Yorick.
Yeah.
Hate that guy. Lazaron wants to know, are you guys C9 fans? Probably because we're tooting Jensen's horn. No, not at all. We just say it as we see it.
I'm a fan of the NA LCS.
And the EU LCS?
Of course. The Western LCS. And I think Jensen, maybe this is just an honest question, nothing to do with Jensen.
Fair.
I don't know, Jensen gets a lot of flack. I think he had the best season. I like C9, but I like all the top NA teams right now. I like Dig. I like Immortals.
That's right.
Love them all.
We like everyone except for FlyQuest.
FlyQuest, we love.
That's right. I do love FlyQuest. Very entertaining games. Shout out to the High.
Shoutouts.
Great guy.
And balls.
Been around forever.
Yes.
Everyone else doesn't get a shout out because we don't have time for that. All right. Final question before we get out of here, Eric.
Here we go. From
Kelvin again. Is League dying or growing? I'm pretty confident eSports is growing for sure. It seems like the League numbers are kind of on the ropes, but I would say it's still up there and growing strong. The eSports scene as a whole is definitely getting bigger.
Growing, yeah.
As for League, I think it's kind of holding pat right now. Still trying to gain tractions and get some bigger sponsors so we can take the next step. But yeah, eSports as a whole definitely on the way up.
Yeah, I think League numbers are definitely lower than they've been the last couple years, just looking at LCS matches, especially some of the EU ones. And like whenever some of the big Titan teams aren't playing, the views are pretty low, at least on Twitch. But I think, come during these playoffs, I'm sure they'll have pretty decent numbers and in Worlds for sure. But I think the big thing is going to be to see what franchising does specifically for League, whether that brings in a whole bunch of different fans who are fans of whoever's going to be investing in this, or just to see how that kind of changes the parity of the League. That's going to be pretty big to see what it does for League. But esports as a whole is for sure growing.
It is, for sure.
For sure.
It's a guarantee from Eric. All right, so summarize today. EU LCS Finals. You've got H2K against Fnatic.
That's right.
I've got G2 against Fnatic. You've got TSM against CLG.
The rivalry renewed to complete the script.
I got Immortals against Dignitas.
Very different.
Very different. Wow, look at us. Not even wearing the same shirt today. I got stripes, you got solid.
I didn't read your text in time, so damn.
All right, anyways, we're done for today. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Thank you for your questions. On Monday at 3 p.m., we're back with Get Boosted once again. And then on next Wednesday, we'll be recapping the semifinals and previewing the finals. Oh, already, it's here.
And the third place match.
And
Don't forget about the third place
That's
match.
Right. The one that no one cares about.
I care.
But might still hold some bearing in terms of points. Probably not.
Still a bronze,
Still a bronze. Take it home and show your parents.
That's right.
So yeah, anything else you want to say? Probably not. It's probably good.
Thanks for all the questions. That was a lot of questions. Some interesting ones. I like when there's out-of-the-box ones that we have to think about, and we stand here going,
Makes it look really good, yeah. Yeah, we don't stand up and...
No. Yeah. So thanks for all those. It's going to be a pretty hype weekend.
Sure is.
I'm sure all my predictions will be completely wrong, and I'll get flamed for it, and I can't wait.
Love getting flamed. That's why we play solo queue anyways.
Yeah.
All right, everyone. Take it easy. Enjoy the semifinals, and we'll see you next week.